Back at 2020 Cafe, my name is Rob, and today we're going to prepare a mushroom and tarragon soup. We start with the ingredients. We have here shallots, mushrooms of course, leek, celery, garlic and fresh tarragon. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is chop a shallot. Shallot is a small onion. There's lots of flavour. So the first thing we do is just cut it lengthways, and then I'm just going to cut the end off, the other end off, and then peel it. Okay, there's one half. Let's cut the other half. So again, top and tail. So very carefully take your shallot on the flat side, flat surface, and just gently cut lengthways, and then cut across. It's a nice fine cut. Same with this half. It's going to cut lengthways. And then cut across. Okay, we also need a mushroom because it's a mushroom tarragon soup. So with mushroom I like to try and keep it whole. So I'm just going to carefully hold it and push down slightly and get a nice thin cut again. Keep your fingers out of the way again, nice and slowly. And here we're getting the nice shape of the mushroom for the veloute soup. Okay, this is the leek, which is part of the base of the soup, which is one of the vegetables that's cooked in the soup to give it some flavour. Leeks can be quite dirty because of the way they're grown. You can get some mud in the base here, so it's an idea to get rid of that mud, which is quite easy by cutting the celery lengthways. Okay, and here we have the celery. What you do then is take it to the sink, some water, and you wash it under the running tap to remove any earth that may be in here. I've got one here as well that I did earlier. There we go. So if I now show you quickly how to cut them. So we already have it cut lengthways, we're now just going to cut it crossways. Use most of the leek until you get to the end. It's all full of flavour. So I think that's everything. Right, this is tarragon. Tarragon will be put on the soup after it's cooked to give it some flavour, which is why it's called a mushroom and tarragon veloute. Tarragon is quite a strong flavoured plant, so what we'll do with this, just to explain, is to take the leaves off so that we can only have the soft leaves in the soup and not the middle is quite tough, and so it's not so good to have. And we need to chop it as well. So I'm just stripping the leaves off of the stalk. Okay, just for the purposes of this I'll stop there, but if obviously once you've had enough, you have enough of your leaves, then you chop what you need. So I think just for the example I'm just going to use this small amount. So gather it close, wrap it within itself and just carefully cut it, bring it together again and cut. Okay, keep your fingers when you're doing this on top of the knife, away from the blade, it's nice and safe. Again, keep it together and chop. You can cut this for as long as you like and as fine as you like, but I think that's about about as fine as we need it for the soup. Celery is another part of the soup, a vegetable that will give a lot of flavour to the soup. You can cut celery very simply across ways, but today we're going to cut it quite thinly, so I'm going to cut it long ways first. So taking both sides carefully, holding, and I'm cutting into strips. Take your time, be careful of the knife as it moves down the celery. There we go, so you now have 4 pieces which are just about the right size, and we'll just carefully dice those. And there we have celery into my bowl. Okay, the other ingredient we have is garlic. Again, lots of flavour. It's cut in a similar way to the shallot, but what we'll do is I'll just explain how you get into the garlic. The difficult thing with garlic is the skin, so we need to remove that, and the traditional way for chefs to do it is to just crack it with a knife, and it should just fairly easily come off. Okay, I'll just cut that end off here. So there we have the skin removed. So again, the same with the shallot, cut it lengthways. So you have a nice flat surface, and there's a flat surface there as well. And the same as the shallot, go lengthways, nice and slowly. And with this piece. And then gather it together, turn it, and just go the other way. Mind your fingers. And that's finely chopped. You don't have to have it that finely chopped for the recipe, but I just thought I'd show anyway. So that's garlic for the soup. Okay, now the vegetables are prepared, we need to cook them off to bring lots of the flavour out, particularly the mushroom. So we're going to add the shallot and the leek, the mushrooms, celery and garlic, and I will do it in, I will cook them in this order. The shallot first, the shallots take a little bit longer and we need to get the flavour out, and then the leek and the mushrooms not too far after, and then finally the garlic in this order. We're going to melt down some butter, about 50 grams of butter in the bottom of the pan, and once the butter is melted we then add these ingredients for it to cook off. Okay, now I'm cooking the butter. Just melting the butter on a medium-high heat. And as that's melting, I'm just going to get the shallots, put those in. And I'll put the leek in as well. And let's just move this around. So we cook this for about a minute or so, and then I'm going to add the other ingredients, the mushrooms and the celery. So it's important to sweat the celery and the shallot off, so we get flavour, lots of lovely oniony flavours from these two. As ever, we always try and drag the pieces from the edge down back into the bottom of the pan, so we're not wasting anything and we're not burning anything. So I'll just keep that moving for about a minute. Okay, now that these have been sweating, the shallot and the leek have been sweating, I'm now going to add the mushroom and the leek. And finally the garlic. On the same temperature, just keep that moving again. The heat and with the butter is going to make all of these vegetables sweat, which is going to bring out lots of flavour, which is going to give our soup lots of flavour, obviously. So we'll cook this now for maybe 4 or 5 minutes until the onion, leek and celery and the mushrooms cook down. The shallot, and the celery should go fairly clear, and the mushrooms should colour slightly. Again, let's take some from the edge. Okay, now the vegetables have been sweating down for 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to add some butter and flour to make a roux, which is the thickening part of the veloute. So it's 150 grams of butter and 150 grams of flour, and put it all in together. And the butter will melt, and with the flour and the vegetables we will have a veloute. So keep it moving again. This is where it's liable to stick slightly, but as the butter melts, you'll find that it won't stick. So we need to cook the flour and the butter off for a couple of minutes, just to cook the flour so that the finished soup is not too floury in flavour. Okay, we've now been cooking the vegetables and the roux, the flour and butter down for a couple of minutes, maybe 1 to 2 minutes, just to cook off the flour really. And we're now going to add some vegetable stock. I have some vegetable stock here which is made up of the same ingredients basically as the vegetables in the soup, which if you see here, celery, leek, there's some onion and some tarragon stalks and leaves. So any of the offcuts from the preparation you can use. It doesn't matter how rough it is, because we're going to put it through a sieve in here. So this will form the base of the liquid of the soup rather. So I'll just do that now. So let's put this back onto the heat. There's the sieve. I'll just take some liquid and sieving it through. I'll just start off with just 2 ladles. And we'll work that through. We do this small amounts at a time so that the flour can absorb the stock without causing any lumps. If you put all of that in at once, it would probably be quite lumpy. So we just very carefully work that liquid through. I'm just going to take that off the heat a second and add some more. So this is just making sure that the flour is absorbed with all the liquid we have in, the small amount of liquid we have, which will hopefully mean we'll have no lumps in here when we come to put the rest of the liquid in. Okay. I'm now going to add most of the rest of the liquid to the soup, which will be the soup. Okay. So all we need to do now is just keep this at a certain temperature and just mix it thoroughly. Okay, the soup is now ready to cook for about 20 minutes. Before we leave it to cook for 20 minutes, I'm just going to add some seasoning. So some salt and some pepper. Season to taste, so whatever your preference. Okay, reduce the heat to medium heat and just let that cook for about 20 minutes. Okay, the soup has been cooking for 20 minutes. I've now put it in a bowl and it's ready to eat. So all we need to do is add some cream and some of the tarragon just to add some more flavour and for presentation. So nice cream swirl and some chopped tarragon. Voila! Bon appetit! A finished soup. Mushroom and tarragon veloute.